Okay, sorry, Madhuri. So, so second module is related to SDLC. SDLC SDLC stands for Software Development Life Cycle. Okay.
Okay.
So SDLC means Software Development Life Cycle. It is also known as PDLC or ADLC. PDLC stands for Product Development Life Cycle, and
Okay.
ADLC stands for Analysis and Designing Life Cycle. So these three words, these three terms means the same: SDLC or PDLC or ADLC. Suppose in case if interviewer is asking anything about SDLC, PDLC or ADLC, you can say whatever I am going to say for SDLC. Okay, don't get panic and don't get confused. So interviewer or the recruiter may confuse you by asking what is SDLC one time and what is PDLC one time, like that. So this SDLC, PDLC, ADLC stands for same. Okay. Now, what is a life cycle? So do you have any idea, Madhuri, like what is a life cycle?
I mean, I studied when I was in school, parasite life cycle and everything,
Yeah,
but
just
I don't know.
tell me in general, like what do you mean by a life cycle?
It is a process, the first stage till the end stage. It
Exactly,
can be process. Yeah.
exactly. So life cycle is nothing but it is a process which explains from start to end of a particular thing, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
SDLC explains the software development life cycle. It means it is going to explain the process of a software development and implementation from start to end. It explains what is going to happen in each and every stage of SDLC. Okay. So in SDLC, we are having 6 phases. So these are all the activities of SDLC. These are not the phases. These are all the activities. So the first one is investigation or feasibility study, and second one is analysis, and third one is design, and fourth one is development, and next one is testing, and next one is implementation, and next one is maintenance. Okay, so these are all the different activities that we are going to do in our SDLC life cycle. Now, what are the stages of SDLC? So broadly classified, there are 6 stages or 6 phases of SDLC. Okay, so the first one is requirement planning and enterprise analysis phase. Second one is designing phase. The third one is development phase, and fourth one is testing phase, and fifth one is installation phase, and the sixth one is maintenance phase. Okay, so these are the different phases of SDLC. Okay, now what is going to happen for a project in each and every phase? That means what kind of activities we are going to do for a project in each and every phase, and what is the role of a BA for each and every phase, that we are going to see today. Okay, so first we will start with requirement planning and enterprise analysis phase. Okay, so in this phase we are going to prepare BRD and SRS documents. So BRD stands for Business Requirement Specifications or Business Requirement Documents, and SRS stands for Software Requirement Specifications or System Requirement Specifications. As I said you, I am going to explain in detail about these documents in our module number 6, but just remember that in phase 1 we are going to prepare BRD and SRS documents, and we are going to do analysis of the project. Okay, so we are going to check the what is the project, and we are going to study about the project, and we are going to do analysis. So how we are going to do analysis, in the sense, like first, whenever you are assigned to a project, so first you are going to get some documentation related to the project. Okay, or you will be getting some KT. As I said, you are going to get some knowledge which will be transferred from the senior employees to you. Okay, they will be providing some knowledge, or they will be providing you to refer some websites. So in this way, you are going to get some knowledge on that particular project. So once you get some knowledge, then you are going to identify the correct stakeholders. Now you are going to study about the project, and you will come to know what is the project, what is the objective of the project, and why this project has been implemented. Okay, what are the problems that client was facing before implementation of this project, or if he is implementing this project as a new project, then what he is expecting from this project. Everything you are going to learn with the documentation. Okay, then after that you are going to identify the stakeholders. So after identifying the stakeholders, then next thing is you are going to gather requirements. So by using various requirement gathering techniques, you are going to gather requirements. So once after completing gathering requirements, then you are going to show that requirements to your reporting authority. Okay. So now your reporting authority will check that requirements, and he will analyze whether these requirements are correct or not. That is nothing but initial assessment. Okay. So he is going to analyze whether that requirements are correct or not. Okay. After that, he will give approval to you to go further. So once after receiving approval from your reporting authority, then you are going to do feasibility study. So what is feasibility study? In the sense, whatever the requirements you have gathered, there are some parameters. So those requirements should satisfy those parameters. So there are 4 parameters. So when these 4 parameters are satisfied by each and every requirement, then only we are going to keep this requirement in development. If any parameter is missing, if any parameter is not satisfied, then we are not going to keep those requirements in development. So the 4 parameters are, first one is legal feasibility, second one is economic feasibility, third one is technical feasibility, and fourth one is operational feasibility. Okay. Now first one is legal feasibility. So what is legal feasibility? In the sense, whatever the requirements you are gathering, those requirements should be according to business rules and corporate rules and state laws. Okay. For example, now let us assume that you are developing a banking application. Okay. Let us assume that ICICI, you are developing an application for ICICI Bank. Now assume that ICICI Bank is India as well as US. Okay. Now the conditions of according to the Indian law are, the person who wants to open an account in a bank must be 18 years of age. And let us assume that in US it is 21 years of age. Now we are developing an application which is universal, that is it should be operable in India as well as US. Now when the client is using that software in India, and if he selects country as India, the Indian rule should be applicable. And when the client is using that software in US, and if he selects the country as US, the US rule should be applicable. That is nothing but legal feasibility. Is it okay, Madhuri?
Yeah, it is clear. Yeah.
Okay, that means whatever the laws that we are residing, that means wherever you are using the application, those laws should be implemented.
Okay.
Okay, that is one example of legal feasibility. And another one is, now your client is saying that once the user enters his username and password, the system should hack their passwords and it should save under separate folder. Now hacking of passwords is illegal. So directly we are going to say to the client that we are not going to develop this requirement because it is an illegal requirement. So that is another example of legal feasibility.
Okay.
Okay. So if there are any business conditions, so the requirement should be according to that business conditions.
Okay.
Like suppose if you are implementing GST in India, okay, so whatever the product you are purchasing, there will be a GST. That is nothing but business condition. So GST will be levied with different percentage on different products. Okay. And next one is economic feasibility. So economic feasibility means, suppose if you are investing $50 for the development of one requirement, then the outcome or the worth, how much we are getting for that from that requirement should be equal to $50 or more than $50. Then we will say that it is a economic feasible. Suppose if you are spending $50 on that requirement and you are getting a worth of $10, then we are not going to take that requirement into development. Okay, that is economic feasibility. And next one is technical feasibility. So technical feasibility is the requirement should be capable of developing in a technical manner. So whatever the requirement we are going to give, so the developer should find a logic for that. There should be a logic to develop that requirement. If there is no logic to develop that requirement, then we are not going to keep that requirement for development. That is technical feasibility. And operational feasibility is whatever the requirements we have developed technically, those requirements should be readily available to use use operationally, to put it into operations. Okay, suppose if you are developing a requirement technically, but if it is if that requirement is not in a state to use operationally, then it is waste of developing that kind of requirement. Okay, so these are the four parameters, that is legal feasibility, economic feasibility, technical feasibility, and operational feasibility. So we are going to check the possibility of each and every parameter. If each and every parameter is satisfying, then we are going to say that we have completed our feasibility study. If any parameter is not satisfying, then we are not going to keep that requirement in the development process. Okay, we are going to do feasibility study for each and every requirement. Okay, for example, if there are 100 or 200 requirements, then we are going to do feasibility study for 200 requirements.
Okay.
Okay, that is feasibility study. So once we complete feasibility study, then we are going to put the requirements in the form of documentation. So as I said, depending upon the project, we are going to do our documents. Okay, suppose if you are doing implementation project, then we are going to do SRS documentation. Okay, how to do SRS documentation, as I said, I am going to explain in module number 6, that is documentation part. So once you complete preparing SRS documentation, then you are going to show that documentation, you are going to present that documentation to the client. Now the client is going to review the document. Review in the sense is going to check whether all the requirements are covered in the document or not. So once if he feels that every requirement is covered and there is nothing to add, then he will give sign off on that particular document. Okay, so the output what we are going to expect from phase number 1 is preparation of SRS documentation, presentation, and taking sign off. So this is the result which we need to get from our stage 1 or phase 1. Okay, by the end, that means by the time we complete this requirement planning and enterprise analysis phase, the output we need to show is SRS document is prepared and it is presented and it is signed off. Okay.
Yeah, I have one question. So, what is the difference between BRD and SRD? Is it the same thing, just the terminology is different?
No, no. There is a difference between BRD documents and SRS documents and FSD documents.
Okay.
So don't bother about those documents now. If I say now, you will get confused. Why? Because before saying that, I need to complete some topics. Then only you will understand. Okay.
All
That
right.
that I will explain you in documentation part.
Okay.
Okay. In sixth module, you can see the difference between BRD and FRS and FSD documents.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess if you see